because this thing had the makings of what looked like a classic Outback Bowl matchup at noon on New Year's Day. And I didn't think we'd be saying this today, and maybe you didn't either. I did not expect what happened to have Penn State kind of just walk all over Auburn on their home yard.
No, Matt, I'll give you a little preamble. Being in Auburn Friday, I had Bryan Harsin on our show, and he said all the right things. And he's a genuinely nice guy who desperately needed to win this game just to put himself in a position, because he's got Missouri, not a problem, then LSU at home, and then he goes on the road to Georgia, and he needed to probably be 5-1 in the first half of the season, primarily not to save his job, but just to get some momentum. He's 62nd in recruiting right now. And they rolled all the dice. They put everything on the table. Every recruit was at this game. So Matt, here goes the story. It was a disaster. And you can't start carving his name on the tombstone yet, but it's hard to imagine after what happened Saturday that Bryan Harsin survives. And I'm being gentle. My old newspaper column would probably see a more deadly headline, but this team has nothing going for it. The offense was inept. Nothing that they tried worked. And you tell me, Penn State is a good team, by no means an elite team. And when you realize that Auburn has to face Georgia and Alabama later in the season, in addition to Texas A&M and Arkansas and Ole Miss and Mississippi State, and I mentioned LSU, they're looking at a disastrous season, which means coaching change.
So I want to stay with Auburn because I'm trying to get, when we get from a new hire, and it's kind of a parallel to Scott Frost. We talked about Scott Frost last week prior to him being dismissed. And when there's a new hire, it's always met as it should be, unless there's a case where the hire was just bizarre to begin with. But it's met with optimism. This is the person. This is the guy. This is how we turn the program around. Mm-hmm. And then it usually takes time for it to go south, if it in fact goes south. What the Harsin thing is so bizarre to me, because there was that attempted coup over the summer. How did we get here so quickly, I guess, is the most succinct way I can put it on a Sunday morning, sleep deprived.
Yeah, I'll spare everyone the Auburn backstory because you don't want to hear it, but the most important thing to remember here is that the same people that tried to get rid of Harsin tried to work diligently and desperately for about 5 years to get rid of Gus Malzahn. So they ran into a brick wall. A new president came in who said, no way. And instead of firing Malzahn, he beats Alabama again, which, remember, he would do that every other year. He gets a new deal. So here's Auburn. They fire the president. They bring in a new athletic director from Buffalo, always the path that you take, Buffalo to Auburn. And then they bring back the old president, the interim, he was happily retired. He went to the cocktail parties, but he did not want to mess with the good old boys in the smoke-filled room. And there was a power struggle. And this is all important to set up where we are here. There was a power struggle because the good old boys wanted Kevin Steele to be the head coach. They trusted him. He was one of them. And this athletic director, Alan Green, who played baseball at Notre Dame, said, you know what? I don't want Kevin Green. I think we need to chart a new path. So he goes to the search firm, and they find a great coach, by the way. Bryan Harsin, quarterback to Boise. Yeah, he was on Peterson's staff. And he probably, had he stayed at Boise, would have lived the rest of his life. But he took the gamble, and it didn't work. And yeah, you can say if Tank Bigsby had gone out of bounds against Alabama, he wouldn't be having this problem. But he didn't, and they lost the game in 4 overtimes. The coup attempt was a really sloppy coup attempt. I mean, it was like some third world country. A bunch of guys at the bar say, you know what, let's go down and overthrow the president, and they all get gunned down because they didn't have the firepower. This was really sloppy, and it was impossible not to sympathize with Harsin. It's also impossible to sympathize with him now because it clearly looks like he's not cut out to be an Auburn football coach. This is a deadly league, as you know, Matt. You've lived in the South, you've covered the SEC, and when you blow the game yesterday, you don't have anywhere else to turn. And it's not that he can't cobble a few more wins together.
Right.
Missouri next week. I mean, the loser of this game, the Eli Drinkwitz Harsin battle, the loser of this game is not looking like he's going to have a future anywhere. So it comes down to, Harsin's stay will be, he'll have a few more weeks before anything really serious happens.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.